2. To carry out a prompt, independent and impartial investigation aimed at determining the fate or whereabouts of Sombath Somphone
and standards into the disappearance of Mr. Sombath Somphone. To consider establishing a national human rights institution compliant with the Paris Principles and provided with the necessary resources to adequately carry out its mandate.
Mr. President, welcome to the Lao delegation. There are at least 9 reported cases of forced disappearances in Lao PDR. The disappearance of civil society activist Mrs. Sombath Somphone is one of the most internationally renowned cases. Mrs. Sombath was last seen at a police checkpoint on 15th December 2012 and his whereabouts are still unknown. The government issued a statement that the disappearance of Mrs. Sombath would be thoroughly investigated. No results of the investigations have been publicly disclosed. Sweden recommends that Lao PDR intensify the investigation into the disappearance of Mrs. Sombath and accepts external assistance in the investigation and make the results publicly known, and that Lao PDR investigates in a transparent and credible manner all cases of enforced disappearances.
The rule of law. In this context, Switzerland remains extremely concerned about the fate of Mr. Sombath Somphone, who is said to have been the subject of an enforced disappearance, which is a grave violation of human rights. Switzerland recommends to the Lao authorities to conduct an impartial, effective and in-depth inquiry into the fate of Mr. Sombath Somphone in conformity with the international obligations of Lao, and to present the results of such an inquiry in a transparent manner. We regret that the work of the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC, an impartial, neutral and independent organization working in full respect to confidentiality, be impeded in the Lao PDR.
The UK recommends that Lao establish a thorough, transparent and impartial investigation into Sombath Somphone's disappearance, as recommended by UN Special Rapporteurs. 2. That Lao ensures the right to freedom of expression and its other human rights international commitments are upheld in any move to adopt a cyber law. I thank you.
We are concerned that the amended Prime Minister's decree on civil society organizations will further limit civil society space in Laos, particularly since the disappearance of Sombath Somphone in December 2012. We are concerned that the September Prime Minister's decree criminalizing the spread of false information about the government online will be used to unduly limit the freedom of expression, particularly expression critical of the government.
Australia remains concerned about the unresolved disappearance of Mr. Sombath Somphone. Australia recommends Lao PDR conduct an urgent and credible police investigation into Mr. Sombath's disappearance and communicate the findings, including to address any suspicions of government involvement in his abduction.
Belgium would like to learn about the state of the inquiry into the disappearance of the human rights defender Mr. Sombath Somphone. My country recommends to the government to create the necessary framework for civil society, including human rights NGOs, to be able to be included in the follow-up of this UPR without any fear of reprisals. Thank you.
2. Undertake a thorough and credible investigation into the disappearance of Sombath Somphone and other cases of purported enforced disappearances.
Finland recommends that the Lao PDR fully implements its international obligations to ensure the protection of human rights defenders and other civil society actors while exercising their human rights, including the freedom of expression, association and assembly, and removes all restrictions in law and practice which infringe upon their work. The government of the Lao PDR should establish without delay a new independent commission to undertake an impartial and thorough investigation into the enforced disappearance of Sombath Somphone. Civil society and human rights organizations have been put under serious strain after the enforced disappearance of the civil society activist Sombath Somphone. NGOs and human rights defenders play an instrumental role in development of an inclusive society. It is very important that they can work without fear of legal or other sanctions. Thank you.
Conduct independent and in-depth investigations into cases of disappearances with a view to prosecuting those responsible.
Germany would like to offer the following recommendations. First, conclude the process of ratification of the Convention on Enforced Disappearances shortly, and investigate vigorously all cases of enforced disappearances, including the case of civil society activist Sombath Somphone, and inform the public transparently about the results of such investigations as far as feasible without endangering the investigation, and bring perpetrators to justice.
Ireland is deeply concerned regarding the position of human rights defenders in the Lao PDR, and in particular by reports of enforced disappearances and failure to adequately investigate such alleged crimes. Ireland recommends that the Lao PDR take all necessary steps to protect human rights defenders from intimidation, ill treatment or violence, including enforced disappearances, and to ensure prompt, impartial and thorough investigation of all allegations, including those of enforced disappearances.
As far as the accession to core human rights instruments is concerned, Italy recommends that the Lao PDR consider ratifying the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearances and establish an independent commission to carry out impartial investigations in a prompt, impartial and effective manner into the alleged cases of enforced disappearances reported in the country.
Secondly, to conduct with no delay an independent and credible inquiry into the unexplained disappearance of the human rights defender, Mr. Sombath Somphone, who disappeared on the 15th of December 2012 in Vientiane.
Mr. President, Singapore remains concerned about the disappearance of Sombath Somphone, who is the Laotian husband of a Singaporean citizen. This has been a very trying period for Sombath's family. We acknowledge that the Laotian government has taken steps to reassure Sombath's family that they are dealing with this issue, but we urge it to do its utmost to resolve this case expeditiously and judiciously.
A point of great concern is the issue of enforced disappearances and the fact that the Lao PDR has not yet ratified the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance. As other delegations, the Netherlands is concerned about the unsolved disappearance of activist Sombath Somphone. Our government views the Lao PDR's efforts in this case as a test of how the country deals with its international human rights obligations. We note the space mentioned here today by the delegation for civil society actors and international partners to help assist in the investigation, and invite the Lao PDR to put this into practice.
In this regard, New Zealand recommends that the Lao PDR government fully enables civil society and NGO groups to conduct their activities, and recommends that the government conduct a thorough and credible investigation into all and any unresolved cases of disappearances of civil society workers in Lao PDR.
I would like to respond to the issues of the missing case, Sombath Somphone. The missing of Sombath Somphone is shocking news for the Lao government, as is happened after the Lao PDR successfully hosted the 9th ASEM Summit in Vientiane. We have been wondering why he went missing exactly during this time. I would like to confirm that the Lao government has never had any hidden negative attitude toward him who live his private life and perform his work in his personal interest and in the development of the Lao PDR over the past 30 years. The Lao government has always emphasized that innocent people will never be punished, and only those who violate the law will be punished. His missing is concerned by the Lao government like the missing of any Lao citizen. There have been many disappearance cases in the world due to the different reasons, including conflict with criminal groups. In some cases, the investigation could come to result quickly. Some cases needed years to solve, while other cases are still pending, despite the countries today have investigating technique of high technologies. Like many other Lao people, Sombath Somphone sought and received funds from abroad and used to fund for projects implemented in different provinces of the country as a means of earning his living. He traveled to many parts of the Lao PDR and frequently traveled abroad. He was an ordinary citizen and has not been detrimental to the Lao PDR. The missing case is one of the many types of criminal act that used to happen in Laos before and in many countries all over the world. The investigation committee has always been open to views of suggestion to help the investigation, and committee is ready to receive suggestion from any interested parties with regard to the ongoing investigation. For example, the committee did look into recommendation recently made by the ICJ. There are some organizations that try to discredit the Lao government and tarnish its increasing international reputation by readily using the missing case as a pretext. Some organizations even made accusation that the Lao government might have been involved in the missing. In this regard, these accusations can be refuted by referring to the mere fact that the incident happened in front of a police CCTV camera, and the police authorities, based on their duties under the law, cooperate sincerely with his wife and relatives, allowed them to view and record the CCTV footage. Also, those investigation steps and action undertaken so far by the investigation committee, the close supervision of the Ministry of Public Security, the concern openly expressed and the attention paid by the Lao PDR leadership are all indicative and the sincerity and seriousness of the Lao government in solving this case. I would like to give assurance that the concerned authorities of the Lao PDR are still seriously conducting the investigation and will continue to do so in order to find the truth and bring perpetrators to justice in accordance with the law of the Lao PDR. And